Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are a new viewer, hi. I hope you really enjoyed this video and the other ones on this channel if you want to check them out. In this video today I'm gonna share with you how I made this doll here. I haven't named her yet, but I probably will by the time I edit this video. So you'll see a bit more of her because she's got so much on. You'll see a little bit more of her at the end of this video. There will be quite a few pictures of every angle so you can get to see that. I finished this a few weeks ago actually. I'll just show you the best part. She's got lots of babies here and there is a reason for that. So I finished her a few weeks ago actually. She took quite a while of time, quite a bit of time to be done, but not as much as some of my other dolls. I was just really excited to make her. So a little bit of backstory for the doll. Back home in Moldova, and I think some of quite a few other East European countries, we believe that in the forest there is a spirit of a woman who's taking care of the forest, and she's a little bit more negative towards people because people would usually come in the forest and harm the animals or the nature. So there is that. And this little lady here, I imagined her as being the sister of this forest mother, forest woman figure, forest spirit or something like that. So she's her sister, which she is more loving towards the humans, and basically based on some legends and stories and historical, I guess, ancient facts, unwanted children used to be left in the forest for the forest spirit to take them, and they would become children of the forest. So if someone would give birth, obviously that was an issue in ancient times, and even like, you know, not that long ago, not really ancient times. So women would find different ways to get rid of their babies, which is really sad, but just keeping it to the legend thing. So this, they would know that this spirit would take them and make them her own children. And yeah, so that is kind of the whole idea behind her. Of, you know, behind her having like so many children. Like she just carries them with her, like very casually, like just like hanging there, having her in her like this little backpack. So she's just like, you know, getting all the kids that no one wants them, that they're left in the forest. She saves them and she makes them her children. And yeah, I just kind of based on a few things, as I said, a few legends, a few bits in there, and then I've added some, you know, trying to like imagine how would that look, what would, you know. So I put all my ideas and everything that I knew about this thing into this doll, and yeah, I think she's one of my favorite. I really like her. I'm actually editing the video for and all the videos I took of the progress right now. So this is a little introduction which is a little bit long, so you can just skip. So yeah, thank you so much for watching my videos. Please leave a comment. I'm always really glad to read them. If you enjoyed, please make sure to, well, consider to subscribe if you want to see more of what I do. I have another doll that is already done, which as soon as I upload this, I'll have the next video ready in about a week. So excuse for so much talking. Let's go ahead to watch this video and enjoy.
Хотя с 4 лимонами ты в этом королеве. Не, ну, 3,5-4. что-то стоит. Не все деньги тебе, конечно, с этой квартиры будут отдать. Хотя ладно, ты что, ты забей. Нет, так нет. Вот.
So now that you have enjoyed a little bit of ASMR, let's get back into me taking you through this process a little bit more detailed. So after the armature, aluminum foil and the tape, I'm using my hot glue gun to attach some of this white fluffy thing. I won't be able to tell you what exactly it's called, but I did salvage it from a old duvet, so it's like a filling that you get into soft toys as well. I'm sure if you're interested in it, you'll be able to find it really easily. This is actually some pieces of wet tissue which is dry, and I've just made some balls to create her breasts, and I'm using the same fluffy thing to create her bum, add a little bit more bulk on her legs and a big belly, as you can see. Next, I'm using this jersey fabric to glue onto the whole doll to make sure like it just creates a layer that's gonna hold the whole structure together. I ended up stitching as well and basically just created this shape that I think it fits the grandma that I'm trying to make. This is just a piece of aluminum wire that I'm using as an armature for the head. I'll go ahead with using some aluminum foil to create bulk. I'm gonna use as well the paper tape to fix all the foil in place. And going in with the Super Sculpey clay to start sculpting her head, which I was very excited about. And just a little bit of a backstory, I guess, of how I made the head. I don't really have a video of me sculpting the entire thing because I have sculpted one and it looked too much like the grandma that I previously did, and then I did it again and it looked too much like another doll that is I actually don't have a video of it. And this head that you see me making now is actually my third attempt, and I am so happy with it. I'm over the moon with how it looks, and I wanted her to be a little bit more like have like that strict kind of face, but not like in a bad way. Sort of that grandma that really loves you, but she doesn't really show you, so you think like she really hates you. Like that's the face I was really going for. So I think I did really achieve that with her. I am super happy with how she looks. I don't know if he's one of my actually favorite face sculpts. But I say that every time I make a new doll, but really I love this more than probably some of my previous dolls. Here I'm just using a little piece of clay. This is the first time I'm doing that for the eyebrow, so just a piece of clay and kind of I'm just making it fuzzy by just poking it and creating some texture. And I actually did like this because I prefer it this way than just like painting eyebrows, because you have like a bit more of a three-dimension to them as well. So here it is. I think she's all done here. And I baked it. Instructions for baking clay is usually on the package, and I'm just attaching the wire. It was left like extra wire from the body and extra wire from the head, so I'm just attaching and twisting them together. This is a piece of wire with some paper tape on top, and I'm using some clay, and this is actually gonna be a staff. I'm not sure it's a staff, it's just a stick that she will carry, so she'll be holding that. And here are the babies. I made 5, I think 5 altogether, and here is just a bit of a process on a few of them. It took me a while. It was the first time I sculpted babies. They're not the easiest thing to do, but I did really enjoy it, the first 2, and then I just did it because I had to. This is the first time I sculpted babies, so if you sculpt something for the first time, always use reference pictures. I didn't really, but I would definitely recommend to make sure your proportions and everything else is right. I just looked at some pictures of babies and then I kind of just stopped and went with it. I referenced more this one here with the full body because I just needed that kind of natural position and just to see what the proportions of a baby, of like a newborn baby are. So I did use a reference more for this one where the whole body is. So here they are all baked, and for the rest of they're gonna be wrapped in like their own little thing, but obviously we need a body, so the shape of it looks like it's got whole body, not just half of it or the head. So I just used some aluminum foil with some hot glue and kind of just bulked and created the body. So you can see here like little hands, legs, and then I softened the back and added a bit more bulk with the hot glue. Going ahead with adding their clothing or their I'm not really sure because it's not really clothing when they are newborn, it's just pieces of fabric wrapped around them. So I was going for the very old school sort of actually back home, well, when I was a baby for sure, kids were wrapped in these pieces, square things, just like I do with this baby right now. So I kind of just tried to keep it as close to reality as I could. I thought they look super cute like that, like little burrito babies. I'm not sure if people do that anymore. Just using a piece of thread to tie all that in place. That's exactly how it was done. So when I was a baby, I looked just like this. Making a red one as well. All this fabric actually that you can see, the blue I used on the grandma, the stripy one, the red one, they're actually baby clothes that I salvaged from my nephew. So my sister kept them from me and now I'm using them for the dolls. Actually, all of my dolls have their body and some of the clothing from actually my nephew's clothes. So that's actually super cute because you always kind of you know, have a piece like this. You know, usually baby clothes disappear, but you know, like this you can keep some. Here I'm just using a light brown wash to create the first layer on the skin and kind of just texturing. And you know, as well, if you want to do the same thing, I mean not the same doll, but if you're watching for tips on how to paint, start usually with a light wash on the whole thing, so use that as a base and then just keep adding different texture, different shadows, and until it looks like what you're after, really. This is the same nephew's clothing, as you can see, and I'm gonna make her some pajama bottoms. This is as well very typical for back home, like people would have like a jersey fabric sort of underwear, pajama, trousers, something like that. I wouldn't know how to call them, but they're very typical, and back in the day they actually used to be crazy colors like red, green, blue, white, obviously. So I just thought it'll be really cool for her to be wearing something like that. Actually did, she looked very cozy in them. So I did wrap her head just to protect from her head like smashing and getting scratched. And I very rarely make clothes that I actually put them on the doll. They usually like built on the doll, so it was really fun to actually have this piece and dress the doll up. It was I rarely do that. And I decided to make her a little pocket. It was not necessary because all that is just gonna be covered, but it just felt right to have a pocket. Here I just hand stitched as well a like a like a top for her from my mother's old skirt. I hand stitched it because obviously it's small, but also my sewing machine broke, and I'm currently hand stitching everything that I need for the dolls. Really, I can't use my sewing machine anymore. Using some hot glue gun to attach this sort of lace neck piece. Make sure I hide all the wires, the joints, the head to the body. And here I have some sort of a crochet. It's not this thread is actually for cross stitching, but I'm using it to crochet her a cardigan sort of. I wanted to knit it, but I don't have like knitting needles so thin, so I'm using this crochet hook instead. And actually, if it's something so small, I'm better to crochet than knit, and I think that applies to everyone. So I'm just using different colors to just make something like this. And I'm using some pieces of leather as well to finalize the whole. I mean, it's something like a cardigan or a jacket. I didn't really know what I want to do, but you'll see how I ended up looking. I mean, really cool, but I didn't know how I wanted to make it when I started to make it. So here you see the front two panels are leather as well. It took me a while to stitch it because of leather being so firm, but it turned out really cool. This is actually a knitted sleeve from an older doll, but the sleeve was exactly like a jumper, so I thought the color is perfect, the proportion of the knitting is perfect, so I just went with it. I'm attaching some, this is actually some Mulberry silk. It is a really fine product and it looks a little bit gross. I'm just using hot glue to apply it on. But she's gonna have a head scarf and you won't be able to see that, so it made no point really. I had no reason to try and do a nicer job of applying her hair, I think. So here I'm just using this black fabric to make her head scarf. I decided to add this little, how do you call them? Not really sure how you call them. This, I don't know. You can see why it is. I just thought it would be super fun because some of the head scarves back home as well, they do have like these little things around them on the edges. This piece of flower fabric that you can see here is actually my grandma She passed away 20 years ago, and that was her scarf. We have two of her scarves, and this one was in very poor condition, so I thought I'll use bits of it in my dolls. So, you know, I thought it was going to be really cool because I didn't know what else I can do with it. It was not wearable. So yeah, I decided to use it on this grandma. I think it was really appropriate. This is her front. To be honest, excuse my English. I don't know how some of the things are called, and because I don't speak every day about these things, so when it comes to the video, I'm like stuck for words. That was just like a front apron. Yes, it's an apron. I know it's an apron that I made for her, and this is some underskirt. I just wanted to make her bottom like skirt thing to have like multiple layers and all like kind of torn and worn and just weathered. You know, she's a lady that lives in the forest, so she definitely doesn't have clean nice clothes. So I'm just staining everything like you can see here, doing the same to the apron. That is just a mixture of water and green, brown and some black acrylic, just thinned out in the water. On the front panels on the jacket she has, I trimmed the edges, as you can see, made them very like kind of shapy and weird, but I did like it, and I did burn the edges with a fire. Usually it achieves a more authentic look. I decided to make her a backpack using this birch thread. It is really hard to actually crochet with it. It is very, very hard, believe me, but through tears and sweat, I achieved that, and that's how this little kind of a basket, a backpack, something like that, I don't know, I just came up with it. I thought, super cool, let's do it. And I'm attaching some extra threads to use it as to attach on her back. Here I already made some holes in this wooden base and attached the legs with epoxy glue, and I'm using the hot glue gun to create her feet, what would be her feet. I'm writing a letter, like a note, for whoever is gonna get to this, God knows in how many years. I thought it'll be a really nice thing to do, so I'm just gonna seal that inside the backpack. This is just a note for whoever's gonna find it, really. I just love the idea of things as such. So here you can see I'm just kind of hiding it in there, and then there's going to be a bunch of stuff on the top, so I don't think someone will ever find it unless they take the whole doll apart, but that's the whole point. I'm attaching the baby in there using some super glue, so yeah, you'd never know there is a note or a letter inside there ever. So interesting who and when is gonna find it. By the way, the letter is written in Romanian, so they'll have to translate it as well. Here are just some details, some really pieces, miniature jars and all sorts of things like that I'm attaching onto this belt. Like this is like a side purse belt that she's gonna be carrying with all this medicine and you know, everything like that. Like she's got a bunch of kids and she lives in the forest, so she needs all of this to survive and thrive, really. I am making her a like a trunk as well, I guess, with I'm attaching some hooks as well on the sides. I just needed something that I can put something inside and then something would hang around it as well, so I came up with this with the style, I guess, of this whatever whatever it is. And I used some. Literally felt like Louis Vuitton designing his first, traveling trunk. But it's I had fun making that actually. And here I'm just gluing some natural fibers in there just to make like a cushion base sort of thing. And this is my apples. I decided to fill all of that up with some apples, so I made these shapes out of polymer clay and using some pastel to tint it before I actually bake it. So using some black and green, sort of just trying to make a very typical apple that you can see in East Europe growing everywhere. Adding some spots with a bit of acrylic paint, and I decided to do some mushrooms too. So using the same polymer clay, baked and paint. It is not easy to make mushrooms, believe me, but this is how it ended up looking. That is just adorable. So here you can see the whole structure. I just wanted this hook so I can put all this bunch of wooden sort of utensils, I think, I guess. I don't know, you can see what it is. I just think it looks super cool and it goes really well with her character, really. On the base I'm just putting that's just some paper tape to like just make a little bit of unevenness on the ground. She's like walking through the woods. So, and I'm using that Vallejo mud. This product is absolutely awesome when you need mud. It's a professional diorama product, so I would advise you getting it if you need something like that. And this is some things I've actually collected from, this is from a pine tree, so they end up growing really big, but I was so lucky to find baby ones because proportion wise they go really good with the dolls. So this is just some tree bark, and I'm just creating like what would the ground in the forest look like, I guess, or at least trying to get close to how it would look in a real forest. Some fine pieces of branches as well. They ended up sticking to this mud quite well because that dries quick, so it kind of dries everything that's on it. But I did use resin to pour everything to hold in place too. And here is the finished doll.